So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for Big Day of Giving. If you are just tuning in for the first time today, I'm Leah Gleason. I work with Headwaters, and this is Dan Dudek. He's one of our instructors and a very knowledgeable grad student. And just to give you a little background, if this is your first joining us for the live stream today, the reason that we're doing our live stream today is primarily to celebrate Big Day of Giving. This is one of our biggest fundraising days out of the year, and it's a time when we can raise a lot of money for our students who benefit from science education. And in a minute, Dan's going to talk to us a little bit about what it means to him to be a scientist and share a little bit about what it means to interact with our students as a professional scientist. So a little update for today. We've raised almost $7,000 together with your help and with a generous donor match. So we're matching up to $10,000 in donations today through an anonymous donor. So we've the option to raise a lot of money for science, which is really great. A little bit later in the day, we're going to have a happy hour with trivia. And if you donate in the next few hours here, we'll give you 5 extra points. And you'll have a chance to win a really cool Bellevue ice cream scoop, trip tarp, and some other great stuff. So we hope that you will donate at Headwaters, bigdayofgiving.org/Headwaters. And now we're going to introduce grad student and Indiana University, Pennsylvania scientist, Daniel Dudek. So, yeah, hi.
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, especially to talk to you about, what I've done at Indiana University of Pennsylvania and what I, sort of plan to do in the future.
Great, thank you. Yes, Dan, if you didn't know, Dan has given a really great Lunch with Scientists talk during some of our Facebook Live programming, and he's been an instructor at many of our programs and is one of our favorite teachers. So I want to ask you a few questions, Dan, so the audience can get to know you. Kind of flashing back, how did you first become interested in science as a young kid?
Yeah, so this is a kind of an in-depth question. I'll try to sum it up as best as I can. But in general, like I've always been a very curious person. Luckily, when I was a child, I didn't have, sort of parents or teachers around that sort of condemned my curiosity. So I was able to really just, freely think and, ask questions. And then from there, I always gravitated towards the sciences and really wanting to understand why nature is the way it is. Like, why is everything, related to each other? Why are all these interactions happening? So it's just really like sort of a childhood curiosity that I've carried through. And I've always been interested in sciences in general, but I just gravitated more towards biology.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you bring up curiosity because that's kind of sort of our motto. We foster curiosity in students. And so that kind of leads to my next question. You had all this curiosity as a kid and as a scientist. And what brought you to Headwaters to share that curiosity?
Yeah, so I think it was about 2 years back where I initially got an invitation. Well, there was, Headwaters was looking for work in the Pennsylvania area for some grad students. And, I thought it was an interesting program at first. I didn't know, I've never heard of an outreach program where you're teaching, the younger generations and middle schoolers how to actually conduct scientific research. That's just sort of unheard of in my area. And coming from, an impoverished area, actually where I'm at right now, students don't get that level of education or the opportunities that, you would think that they would typically get in science class. And, being outside, actually conducting, sort of research that the students create themselves really fosters their curiosity and allows them to critically think. So, just the whole program that Headwaters has designed, I've really really love to be a part of it because that's sort of something I wish I did when I was a kid. Because I know it would have helped me out when I was a child, but sadly I didn't have that type of program. So just being a part of something that allows me to, give back in a way that I wish I had is
Mhm.
really, really useful. Nice.
That's great. So we're going to have a little bit more on this later with some of our school teachers talking about what programs look from that end. But as a professional scientist, can you tell our viewers more about how the Headwaters programs overlap with the research and the work that you're already doing in your education?
Yeah, so at least in the programs I work in, I've tended to sort of help out with the biodiversity programs, and where you're collecting various types of organisms out in the forest and the different habitats and everything like that. And I think that's the component that overlaps with my research the most, mainly because I am an evolutionary biologist, and I would say half of what I do is going to be going out in the field collecting samples, designing um, sampling procedures to go out in the field and collect all this. But then the other half is all like genetic work and laboratory work, which that's the portion that doesn't actually get involved with this program. But all of the ecology and all of the sampling and all of the organismal parts of it, that's where it truly overlaps with this program.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a lot. So, will you tell us? I know you've shared a lot in the past about what you are doing in the field of evolutionary biology. Will you tell us just a little bit more about your research?
Yeah, sure. So I specialize in amphibian biology, amphibian evolution. My research at Indiana University of Pennsylvania has been looking at sort of the genetic relationships between true frogs, or the genus Rana, found throughout all of Mesoamerica, with a big focus in Honduras. So that's where I was recently at over the summer. Um, I was on an expedition searching some of the localities in the cloud forests of those areas and collecting samples for the research that I recently completed. Graduated with just recently. Um, but yeah, so I do a lot of phylogenetic work. So it's just comparing, the DNA between multiple organisms and then figuring out how they have, spread throughout, the land in the landscape, and then also inferring sort of, what were the patterns of evolution throughout that land and area, and what sort of abiotic or environmental variables influence their dispersal, and everything from like estimating when they speciated to just species delimitation in general. So, everyone talks about, endangered species and everything like that. Well, a lot of the research that I conduct is involved directly in that, and involved in sort of assessing those levels of conservation for species as well. So that's sort of the more practical part of my research.
That's fascinating. So, if you didn't catch it, Dan just graduated. He completed
Yes.
this research, so congratulations. That's awesome. And I do want to point out that Dan was spotted recently during a Headwaters field trip catching frogs with students. So a lot of what we're teaching is for our students who may not know that they have the opportunity to learn what science is through teachers like Dan, to go out and catch frogs and then maybe become evolutionary biologists later. So we're
Yeah,
really
yeah, catching frogs and catching lizards and all of that, that could be your job. That's a thing. That's a career. That's a job opportunity.
So speaking of your future and where you want to go with all of this, we have talked a lot about what you're doing now. I want to hear a little bit about where you'd like to go professionally and what comes next.
Yeah, so it's pretty much going to start in the fall. I recently got accepted to the quantitative biology PhD program at University of Texas at Arlington. I'm going to be working in Dr. Matthew Fujita's lab. He's a great evolutionary biologist at the university. Um, the work that we do in I'm going to be doing in that lab is going to mainly using sort of genomic approaches, so amplifying large portions of the genome and then comparing those between different populations, seeing if there's hybridization in populations, and even looking at sort of the evolution of frog vision. They have a large project pertaining to that. But I really want to look at how the landscape actually influences the genetic connectivity between populations and how the environment truly impacts, these sort of organisms. And then, that's just sort of what I would want to do in my PhD program. But after that, I foresee that I'll have maybe 1 or 2 years realistically going into a postdoc position, just because that's sort of the flow of the job opportunities. And then hopefully I'll be able to, start up my own lab at a university and provide sort of a high level of education and research experience to college students as well, and try to get those students really involved in research and become mentors, just sort of like the great mentors that I've had throughout my academic career so far.
That's great. That's a really bright future.
Oh yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's going great right now, so hopefully it continues.
So if you're watching, obviously, we do look like we're live, but we do prepare some questions. And just so you know, I'm going to throw another question here at Dan, just one thing to kind of stitch it all together. So talking about your bright future, what do you think, going back to our students, is the best way for a young person interested in science, not sure, to prepare themselves for the kind of future that you're looking at?
Yeah, so there's a ton of different components that go into this. There's a ton of different things that students can do to really get involved in research. But like, I'm a big fan of citizen science, and that is a large component that's being incorporated into modern science right now. And getting involved with going outside, getting used to the environment, being in the outdoors, just exposing yourself to the outdoors, where we're in a time where everything, you're looking at a screen probably 3 to 4 hours a day. Take a few hours of your day and just spend it outside. Go to go to the forest, go to the parks, go to the trails, experience nature. Try and catch frogs, lizards. Be safe. Don't destroy habitats. Is why I want to emphasize that. You don't go into a habitat and completely destroy it, or anything like that. But just be curious of nature. I think that's the best thing that kids can do. Obviously, they learn biology coursework in schools and everything like that, but the main thing about research is really sort of being outdoors, or sort of thinking about your environment, how everything is related to each other, and just having that curiosity and developing that curiosity into ways that you can actually sort of apply the questions that you have, just to keep asking questions. And I think that that's a big component that kids can do, just exercising that curiosity, just asking questions, ask their teachers. I know it's kind of difficult for some teachers to answer all the questions that the students have, because some of them may be off the walls at times. But yeah, just from a standpoint of the teacher and student relationship, especially in middle school, I think the students should, exercise their curiosity. At the same time, I would hope that the teachers don't, shut their curiosity down as well, sort of enable that.
I absolutely agree. And so we want to just kind of tie it all up now. We are here because we need your help funding these programs that we think do build curiosity and encourage question asking. So we hope you had a chance to kind of hear about what those hands-on programs look like through Dan. In a moment here, we're going to sign off, and we're going to stream some science lessons, so you get to see what our lessons really look like. We know that everyone is having a tough time with quarantine right now, but our online lessons try as much as possible to teach you hands-on methods that you can take into the backyard and still do from home. And then we're going to be back a little later with Mary Ellen Benier at 2 o'clock for an actual live science lesson out in her backyard. Before we sign off, we want to recognize some of you who have helped us out a lot. So we're going to read out a list of our current donors from the past couple hours. He's going to win a t-shirt. So take it away, Dan.
All right. So we have Craig Rowe from Truckee, California. We have Robert Gleason from Curtistown. We have Hi Alvey and Beth Alvey from Truckee. We have Wyatt Faraday from Carson City, Nevada, and Ira King from Tempe, Arizona. So congratulations. Thank you for the donations.
And who's won our shirt today?
Oh, which one was that?
Number 5.
Number 5. So that would be Wyatt Faraday?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we did a little drawing beforehand. We let Dan choose the number, and he chose number 5. So that would be Wyatt.
Okay.
Congratulations, Wyatt.
Congratulations.
Yeah, real quick before we sign off, we're talking about programs. So we do want to show you a little snippet of one special program that we're doing for the summer. I'm going to show you a little flyer here. Great. So this summer, we're offering a really exclusive, awesome hands-on learning opportunity for students. It's kind of a learning cohort where you will get to work directly with a professional science mentor, develop a research project, work together intensively throughout the whole summer, and then come out with some really high quality research that you can present, potentially try to get published, and definite good college prep experience, something that will look really great on a college application. So part of this program we're doing to kind of help you catch up on opportunities that may have been missed through the end of this past school year. We just want to make sure that students are college ready and that they have an opportunity to work with some professional scientists. So we're going to announce our signups really, really soon. It'll be sometime next week. And there's a list here for you to sign up to get the very first updated information when our signups go live. So you can go to this link here at the bottom, bit.ly/summerlearningupdate-signup. And we will get you some more information there. So we're going to sign off in just a moment. I just want to remind everyone that Mary Ellen's coming up soon. After that, she'll be joined by Julia Anderson from North Tahoe Middle School. They're going to talk about their program studying sugar pines last year. And then following that, we'll have Spencer Houston talking with board member Erica Seifert and teachers Chris Chu and Lori Sindel-Waro about some of the programs we've done in Sacramento. And we just want to show you who we are, and we hope that you will feel good about supporting us today. It's bigdayofgiving.org/headwaters. So thanks for being here, Dan.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
All right.